When I was a little kid, there was this small local amusement park near us that held this annual event called Pumpkin Land every year on the Saturday before Halloween. It was magical. Kids got candy in between rides, pumpkins were scattered all over the park for families to take home, and honestly, I looked forward to it more than anything else in the fall. One particular year, I was 7 and we went right after my soccer game. The park also gave little prizes for kids who came in costume, so of course I was rocking my classic Scream costume, feeling like a tiny horror movie star. My parents took me and my 2 siblings, and the second we got inside, my brothers were begging to hit the haunted house ride first, then the roller coasters. They wanted all the thrills right away. My mom and brothers jumped into one of the haunted house cars, which only held 4 people, while my dad stayed in line with me. That's when the nerves started to hit. I began feeling cold feet, and to top it off, realized I really needed to use the bathroom. So we got off the line and my dad led me to the bathroom. He went too, but I finished first and waited outside. After a few minutes, I started feeling weird. He was taking too long. I peeked back in, and he wasn't there. My stomach dropped. I was 7, standing alone in a sea of people, and the noise of the park suddenly felt way too loud. Then this man walked up to me and asked where my parents were. I told him I couldn't find my dad, and he smiled, saying he'd help. He grabbed my hand, holding it tight, and pulled out this old Nokia phone, saying, "Oh, I'm with him right now." He looked down at me and grinned. "That was your dad," he said. "He's waiting by the parking lot." My heart started pounding. Even at 7, I knew something wasn't right. My dad didn't even own a cell phone, and that's when it hit me. This man probably didn't know my dad at all. How could he? I was wearing a full Scream mask the entire time. He wouldn't even know what I looked like. My heart was pounding harder with every step as we got closer to the front gate. That's when I spotted a park employee, a woman in an orange Pumpkin Land shirt. Without thinking, I started shouting, "Excuse me, excuse me," until she turned around. I blurted out, "I don't know him, please help." The man immediately jumped in, insisting he knew my dad and was just taking me to him. But thankfully, the woman didn't buy it. She told me to come stand next to her, and the moment I did, the man's whole attitude changed. He didn't say another word, just turned around and walked quickly toward the parking lot without looking back. The employee grabbed her radio and then used the park loudspeaker to announce that a child in a Scream costume was missing his parents. Hearing my name echo across the park made everything feel terrifyingly real. A few minutes later, I saw my dad running toward us, waving his arms, completely out of breath and pale as a ghost. The look on his face said everything. He'd been searching everywhere. When the employee told him what had happened, about the man trying to lead me away, my dad completely lost it. My mom showed up moments later, just as shaken, and they both demanded to see the manager. They wanted to check the surveillance footage, but to our horror, the manager told them the park didn't have any security cameras back then. I still remember my dad's face tightening with anger and disbelief. He thanked the employee over and over for stepping in and keeping me safe. We tried to stay and enjoy the rest of the day, but honestly, the magic of Pumpkin Land was gone. I didn't realize it back then, but as an adult, thinking about how close I came to being taken by a stranger, it's absolutely chilling. I was lucky that day, very lucky. Looking back on that day, I still get chills thinking about how close I came to danger, and how quickly a stranger could have turned a fun trip into a nightmare. That employee's quick thinking literally saved me, and I'll never forget her kindness and bravery. It's a reminder that even in places we feel safe, like a little local amusement park, we have to stay aware and trust our instincts. If you've ever had a moment where someone's gut feeling kept you safe, or even a creepy encounter like this, I'd love to hear about it in the comments. And hey, if you want more true scary stories that'll make you check over your shoulder, make sure to hit that subscribe button and keep watching our channel for the next chilling tale. You won't want to miss it. When my mom and stepdad went on their honeymoon, they didn't trust me to stay home alone for the week, so they sent me up to my Uncle Ronnie's farm. He lives with my Aunt Susie and my cousin Ronnie Jr., and they had this spare bedroom upstairs that I got to crash in. The house was this big, old-fashioned wooden farmhouse with a ton of character, and my room had a view straight out over the crops, where my uncle had scattered these creepy-looking scarecrows all over the fields. This was mid-October a few years back, right in the middle of harvest season. My uncle was busy gathering corn, and he asked for a hand from Maya Jr. and me. It wasn't boring or tedious work. Actually, I kind of liked it. We weren't using a combine or anything, just hand-picking the corn into these little rolling baskets, which felt kind of satisfying. I couldn't help but notice the 3 scarecrows he had set up. They looked like he put a lot of effort into them, with sweatpants, flannels, and straw hats perched perfectly over their heads. I asked him how long it took to make them, and he said just a few hours at most, joking that they really do the trick keeping crows away. That night, after a simple dinner, I hung out with Junior, playing video games and smoking a little weed, just chillin', before heading back up to the guest room to work on my laptop and unwind for the night. The next thing I knew, a rock hit the window. It wasn't just a random sound. It was sharp, intentional, like someone wanted me to notice. My whole body tensed. I didn't even want to look, just slammed my laptop shut, so the room went completely dark. I sat there, frozen, praying it wouldn't happen again. But then, a second rock. This time harder. My stomach dropped like I was free falling. After a minute of silence, I slowly crept to the window. The full moon and one porch light lit up the edge of the cornfield and one of the scarecrows. At first, nothing seemed off, until something moved. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw one of its arms wave. My brain refused to believe it. I blinked and the arm fell back down, still as ever. My chest tightened. I yanked the blind shut and backed away, ready to throw up. My first thought was Junior. I ran to his room, but he was out cold, snoring. I tried my aunt and uncle next, but the house was pitch black and dead quiet, not a single light on anywhere. That's when it hit me. I might be the only one awake, and whatever was outside was getting closer. I told my uncle everything. How I'd heard the rocks. How I'd seen one of the scarecrows move. At first, he laughed it off, thinking maybe I was tired or seeing things. But when we reached the edge of the field, that laugh died real quick. The wooden posts were empty, just jagged splinters sticking up where the scarecrows used to hang. My aunt's face went pale as paper, and Junior just stood there, frozen, eyes darting around like he expected something to jump out of the corn. The air felt heavier out there, still, but tense, like the land itself was holding its breath. My uncle muttered something under his breath and started checking the ground for footprints, but the dirt was all torn up. It wasn't just one person. There were too many prints, too messy, too deep. Whoever or whatever had taken those scarecrows hadn't been careful. I kept thinking about that wave I saw the night before. The way its arm had shifted in the moonlight. Maybe it hadn't been the wind at all. The realization crawled over me like ice. They hadn't just disappeared. They had walked away. My uncle's eyes met mine, and for the first time that night, I saw something I'd never seen in him before. Fear. Real, bone-deep fear. He didn't say much, just told us to stay close and keep quiet. The field stretched out in front of us like a dark ocean, rows of corn whispering in the cold wind. Every step we took made the ground crunch underfoot, but beneath that sound there was something else, like soft dragging coming from somewhere deeper in the corn. My aunt grabbed my arm, her nails digging into my skin, whispering my name like a prayer. Junior started to cry, but my uncle hushed him fast, his flashlight trembling as the beam cut through the stalks. That's when we saw it. A figure at the far edge of the field, tall and crooked, its head tilted to the side. At first I thought it was just one of the missing scarecrows, but then it moved, slow and jerky, like it wasn't used to having muscles. Its arms hung too long, its clothes flapping even though the air had gone still again. My uncle called out, but the thing didn't answer. Instead, it turned toward us, its head twisted all the way around, straw spilling from a slit across its neck, and I swear I heard it laugh, a dry, hollow sound that didn't belong in this world. That's when we ran. My uncle grabbed Junior, my aunt pulled me by the hand, and we sprinted back toward the farmhouse, the sound of heavy steps chasing behind us. When we finally slammed the door shut, my uncle locked it and whispered, "They shouldn't be walking." The house was silent except for our breathing, and outside, just beyond the window, I could see the corn swaying on its own. The scarecrows hadn't just walked away, they were coming home. By morning, the field looked normal again. No footprints, no torn earth, no sign of what we saw. My uncle didn't speak a word during breakfast, just stared out the window like he was waiting for something. My aunt tried to pretend everything was fine, but her hand shook every time she picked up her coffee. Junior wouldn't even go near the door. That night, when the wind started again, I swear I heard them. The dry, scratchy sound of straw brushing against wood moving closer. People say scarecrows are made to protect the fields, to keep danger away. But maybe no one ever thought about what would happen if the scarecrows stopped protecting and started remembering who they used to be. If you ever drive past Uncle Ronnie's farm and you see something standing in the corn after dark, don't stop. Just keep driving. It was November. That sweet spot right before winter hits. The air was crisp, the trees were glowing in shades of orange and gold, and every breath felt fresh and cold in the best way. My girlfriend and I had driven up to her dad's old place upstate, a small cabin that was usually just for summers, but we weren't planning on staying inside. We wanted the real deal, the kind of camping where it's just you, the fire, and the dark woods stretching out around you. The cabin had everything we needed: tents, sleeping bags, cooking gear. So we loaded up, parked near the edge of the property, and hiked into the woods until we found this perfect little clearing. The spot felt peaceful, almost like it had been waiting for us. We set up the tent, got a fire going, and just sat there for a while, eating, laughing, and watching sparks float up into the cold night air. The woods were quiet. Too quiet, now that I think about it. No wind, no bugs, just that deep, empty silence you only hear when you're miles away from anyone else. At the time, I thought it was calming. Looking back, I wish I'd realized it was more like the woods were listening. The fire crackled softly, the only sound in the quiet woods, until we started hearing leaves crunching somewhere out there in the dark. At first I thought it was just an animal, but the steps were too steady, too human. My girlfriend pressed a finger to her lips, her eyes wide. The sound came closer, slow and careful, until it stopped right beyond the firelight. Then, out of nowhere, we saw it. The shadow of someone standing there, perfectly still. My stomach dropped. The shadow moved, lowering itself into one of our empty chairs, like whoever it was had just joined us. They didn't say a word, didn't move again. My heart was pounding so loud I could barely hear the fire. I finally forced myself to look, unzipping the tent and peeking out. But the chair was empty. No one was there. Just the fire burning low and the trees swaying like nothing had happened. Then my girlfriend whispered my name, voice shaking. She wasn't looking outside, she was looking behind me. I crawled back into the tent, my heart racing, and she whispered, "What does he want?" I said, "There's no one there," but she looked at me terrified. "What are you talking about? He's sitting right there." I froze. Turning to the tent wall, I saw the shadow of a man still sitting in the chair by the fire. My throat went dry. That couldn't be possible. I crawled back out, forcing myself to look, but the chairs were empty, fire still flickering. I rushed back in, grabbed her hand, and said, "We need to go now." She didn't argue. The second she stepped out and saw no one there, she screamed. I told her to stay quiet, and we ran through the pitch-black woods, branches slapping our faces, the cold air burning our lungs. Then came this deep, awful groaning sound from somewhere close, followed by the crack of a heavy branch breaking. We both screamed and ran faster, pressing the car key until we finally heard the horn. We dove inside, locking the doors. We locked the door and hid under the blankets, trying to feel safe. But the woods outside felt too close, like they were breathing around us. I couldn't shake the thought that whatever was out there had followed us back. My girlfriend fell asleep, but I stayed awake, staring at the door, listening. At one point, I swore I heard a soft clicking sound near the front door, but maybe it was just my mind messing with me. When morning came, we forced ourselves to go back for the tent. Everything looked untouched, except one chair, the same one we'd seen the shadow in. It was tipped over. We didn't speak, we just ran to the car and drove home. And that was our last camping trip. We never went back to those woods, and honestly, I don't think we ever will. Sometimes, late at night, when the house is quiet, I still think about that shadow. How it moved, how it sat there like it belonged. Maybe it was a person, maybe it wasn't. But I know what we saw. What do you think it was? Have you ever experienced something you just can't explain when you were out in the woods or camping? Let me know in the comments. I'd really like to hear your story. And if you want more stories like this, go watch the next video. Trust me, it's even creepier.